Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just saw episode 15 of The Bad Batch. This is the penultimate episode, if that's how they say it. Obviously, full of spoilers. Full of spoilers. Go ahead and watch the episode before you watch this, obviously. And this is actually part 1 of the finale. That's actually the name of the episode, finale part 1. So, you know, maybe unnecessary, but they're trying to reassure you that, like, okay, yes, this is supposed to be considered one long episode when you rewatch this later for next week's episode. So, wow, things are getting dramatic, and I'm happy to say that it really, between this and last episode, the show's definitely ramping up to this crazy finale. I have no idea what's going to happen next week, but man, okay, let's just go ahead and go into it. Okay, so basically, as we saw in the last episode, Hunter has been captured and Crosshair takes him back to Kamino, and when we get there in Kamino, it seems pretty empty in here. In fact, Hunter's like, where's all the regs? Where's all the regular clone troopers? Because all he sees around here are TK troopers, stormtroopers. And Crosshair is basically like, oh, when did you start caring? When did you start caring about any of this? And we're going to get back to this, but like, he's like personally hurt by the actions of his group, his ex group here. And we're going to get back into that, but oh man. So the Bad Batch, of course, they're gonna go and try and rescue him. They ended up being able to get a ping on his communications, which they acknowledge is like, okay, so Crosshair definitely activated Hunter's communications on purpose to lure us into a trap, but obviously we have to go. So they go to Kamino, but they take a secret way. There's a secret way that only Omega knew about, because remember, Omega was the personal assistant to Nala Se. Again, I'm trying to get these Kaminoan names right. But anyway, she was the personal assistant, so she knows the secret passage to get to her like hidden laboratory, where we find out that this hidden laboratory is actually where the Bad Batch and Omega were created. So they were not actually created in the standard tubes like everyone else, which I guess we could have kind of guessed that, because they're all different and special, so that makes sense. And they run across I don't remember the droid's name, but it's the same Kaminoan droid that we've seen time and time again. I think maybe it was AZ, maybe, I don't know, but the helpful droid that I hope this droid sticks around, especially after this episode, because I don't want this droid to go away. So I hope that he joins the squad. But basically he helps explain that, like, all of the regular clone troopers that were here on Kamino, they were all shipped off. They were taken off world and reassigned. That's how he describes it. Now, which I kind of have to question, because as we saw just last episode, we saw that yes, there are still children clones. There's still clone cadets there that are, it'll be a number of years before they are adult age. Like, yeah, they grow twice as fast, but it's still gonna probably be I don't know what, if 4 years is 8 years to them, so yeah, it's probably gonna be at least like 4 years before they're like adults. So anyways, I'm kind of questioning what happens to them. He also says that all of the important Kaminoan staff were all taken by the Empire. As we saw last episode, kind of discussed how Nala Se was like, oh, we need Nala Se, we don't need a politician. Which, I guess this must confirm that, yeah, I guess that guy's dead. I think his name is Lama Se, or, these Kaminoan names. Anyways, basically the governor, or the chancellor of Kamino, whoever he was, I think that confirms that he's dead. Like, we didn't see it, and we didn't hear blaster shots going off when they closed that door ominously. But I guess he's gone, because they don't acknowledge him. They just say, like, yeah, we took the scientist Kaminoans, but they didn't need a politician, so he's gone. Which also makes me remember that there was an elderly Kaminoan who was like the representative in the Senate, if you remember Clone Wars, She was kind of like the older Kaminoan. I guess she's been eliminated too, because they don't really need her anymore. You know, the Kamino doesn't need a representative in the Senate if there's not much of a Kamino left, which, yeah, by the end of this episode, looks to be the case. There's not gonna be much of a Kamino left. Ooh. Anyways, so yeah, they go and try and rescue Hunter. They end up getting, well, they didn't get trapped in the training room. They kind of knew that it was gonna be a trap, but they had to go there because that's where Hunter is. So the group goes in there, and Omega stays behind, and she tries to activate some of the training droids to basically cause a distraction, which her timing was off because she had no way of knowing that Crosshair was actually going to take out his own troops, which was interesting. So the group is all in the training room. Crosshair's there, and has all of his troops that he's trained, his like TK Stormtrooper elite squad that he's personally trained. He actually ends up taking them all out, and he's like, look, join the Empire. So this is the really interesting part, is that like he takes out his own troops, and you think he's about to do this flip. You think he's about to be like, okay, I'm good now. It was just an act, you know, like kind of like how we all suspected that like maybe he's just playing along because he has to. But no, he's still like, no, join the Empire though, because this is who we are. We're soldiers. We're meant to do this. Like, this is what we're built for. So he's still all in on the Empire, even though he's taking out his own troops, and he's trying to get his brothers to join him. So you can tell a lot of this is personal, and what we get revealed, the big twist of this, is that you know, Hunter's like, look, everything that you've done, it's your inhibitor chip. Yeah, you know, we can help you. We can fix this. You know, this isn't who you are. And he's like, I had my inhibitor chip removed a long time ago. This is who I am. This is what the deal is, you know? And it's really tragic. I mean, we get some cool action scenes where they're all fighting against the droids as a group, and I think that was really the reason why they had Omega do that. You know, the show writers, I think the reason they had, like, oh, she activated the droids even though all his troops are gone. I think that was just because so we can see them all operate as a group, kind of in this one last tragic time, because we know that Crosshair's not really gonna be with them after this. But yeah, so it's revealed that, like, and I have to assume that this was when Crosshair's face got damaged. I have to assume that that's the point when his chip got removed, because remember, this whole show has taken place over the course of, I have to say, it's been like 6 or 8 months, you know, since the beginning of the show. It hasn't been years, but it definitely feels like it's been at least a couple of months, you know, like a significant amount of time. So I have to think when his face got damaged, that's when his chip was removed, and that point forward, he was willingly doing this. Because I'm very sure that in the, you know, in that first episode, they confirmed that yes, his inhibitor chip is still in there. Like they're scanning his head and everything, so I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, it is in there at that point. So it must have been after that when it got removed. You know, and Hunter even tries to ask him, like, specifically when was it taken out, because then it's like, with, you know, how much of these actions were yours versus the chip, because he did some pretty bad stuff there, Crosshair. But yeah, so basically he's like, join the Empire. This is me. You know, and he even says something to the effect of, like, I'm gonna give you something that you didn't give me. I'm gonna give you a chance, you know. And you can tell that Crosshair's like, he's just personally hurt by the fact that, you know, maybe they gave up on him and they're like, oh, he's evil now, I guess we gotta leave. And maybe he's angry they didn't come back, and then he was stuck in this situation of, like, I have to work for the Empire. What other choice do I have? For like months and months. But yeah, a lot of drama going on here, a lot of crazy stuff, and they have a little bit of a standoff, and he ends up getting stunned, and so they have Crosshair now. He's unconscious. They have him, and they're trying to escape, but right as they're trying to escape, Admiral Rampart's above the city talking to Tarkin, saying, like, all right, we can leave the clones behind, let them all die with each other. We're gonna go ahead and take down this main city of Kamino where everything's been happening. Everything since Attack of the Clones. This is the main hub of Kamino, and they go ahead and just destroy the place, which is interesting for a couple reasons, because a lot of people, myself included, kind of wanted to see this whole like clone trooper rebellion come out, and like the Kaminoans are maybe scheming to try and have one last push against the Empire to try and survive themselves. But that does not seem to be how it's gonna play out, because a lot of the Kaminoans are basically captured. They're essentially off the board at this point now, and the city of Kamino is basically gone now. So this whole clone trooper rebellion, it could still happen, because the clone troopers are not like destroyed. They're just somewhere else, wherever they are, which I'm sure we'll get into next season. But it's definitely not going to play out the same way that we thought it would, like in 2005 Battlefront 2, where it's just this huge Kamino showdown. That's definitely not going to happen that way, at least. And yeah, basically they destroy the city, and the Bad Batch now have to figure a way out of here while they have an unconscious Crosshair with them. Now next week, look, a lot of people are, since the show began, especially before they announced season 2, which, by the way, they did finally announce the season 2. They said, yeah, it's coming out next year, which is good, because like a lot of this have, since like 6 or 7 episodes ago, I'm like, this feels like it feels like they have a season 2 planned, because they're kind of taking their time and not addressing a lot of things they could be addressing right now. So yeah, it definitely makes sense that they're doing that. Anyways, so yeah, next episode, I think Crosshair's gonna die. I think I mean, there's a lot of drama there to unfold, especially now that we know that he's acting on his own and he's not being controlled by the chip. So this it was an easy way out for the show, where they really could have just been like, oh, they knock him out, they remove his chip, and then they have their friend back, no problem. But now things are quite a bit more complicated, because it's like, no, he's been doing this on his own for at least half the show, at least. And yeah, I don't know what you do from here. You have to convince your friend to to see that like the Empire is not the way to do this, or he might die. Like, I don't know, like what are the other options, like for the storytelling wise, what else do you do? This might be a Vader situation where he does the usual Star Wars thing where he's like, oh, I'm a bad guy, but I sacrificed myself at the last minute and I die doing a good thing. Like that might end up being how this happens. It seems very, very possible, given the situation that they're at. But yeah, next episode is going to be dramatic. And again, I hope that little Kaminoan droid sticks around. It'd be cool to have a talking droid on the team, because all they have right now is Gonky, the Gonk droid, and he does not talk. So I don't know. I kind of like having a droid with a little bit more personality, like that. No shade at Gonky, but like he shows up only every once in a while. And he doesn't have much of a personality. I mean, you can't really do much with him. He's not like Chopper, where Chopper could make all kinds of noises, and you could see like his reaction to things. Anyways, one last thing that they very, very, very purposefully like laid out there. Admiral Rampart is talking to Tarkin, and he's like, all of the cloning technology is now in the hands of the Empire. They laid it out, and they it's like a statement that didn't need to be said, but they wanted it to be on the record for the audience to be like, okay, we took the chief scientist of Kamino, all of the important staff has been taken, all of the cloning technology is in the hands of the Empire. Because here's the thing, whether you like the sequels or Rise of Skywalker or whatever else, it seems obvious to me at this point that like between this show confirming what they just confirmed and making it very out loud clear by making that statement, and Mandalorian and whatever those experiments are that they were trying to do with Grogu, they are trying to make it very, very clear that the Empire has been working on cloning stuff for years. So, you know, like, yeah, was the Rise of Skywalker like a last minute thing and they just like, yeah, Palpatine had clones and Exegol and all this other stuff and Snoke was a clone and everything's a clone? Was all that kind of like last minute decisions? Sure, yeah. But now they're going back with the Bad Batch and with Mandalorian and be like, oh no, but yeah, they were definitely working on clone stuff for years. Sure. Yeah. That seems very obvious to me now. Like, there's no getting around that like, yeah, the Empire, Palpatine, clones, Snoke, all whatever's happening with Grogu, whatever they were making at that moment, whether it was specifically that or if it was something else entirely, they're trying to get across that, like, yeah, Empire cloning this whole time period and after it, clone stuff. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, either way, I really enjoyed this episode, and I'm excited to see next week's, because it's sure to be dramatic. I can't imagine. I mean, yeah, I can imagine Crosshair gets out of this, but what do they do with him? Do they just keep him captive? I mean, he's their friend, but he doesn't want to be there anymore, and now we know it's his own choice. He's not under control, you know, and if he decides to leave and join the Empire, or, you know, he could rat out their location. What do they just leave him on some random planet? What do they do? I don't know what they do with him. He might end up dying. But yeah, very dramatic, and this is, you know, this is a high point for the show that I feel like so far, you know, I think we can safely judge most of season 1 at this point. You know, I think the first episode was so strong, and the show was like, for a long time, it was kind of failing to like live up to those heights again. It was a lot of one-off missions, a lot of just like, you know, this week they're going to this planet and doing this thing, you know, which is fine, you know, because I assumed for a while they're doing a season 2, but, you know, these last 2 episodes, and I'm sure next week, are like definitely like, okay, this is again the height of the show. So I don't know, I guess I just hope that season 2, I'm okay if they don't do the mission of the week as much. You know, those are fun every once in a while, but they were definitely like, they felt like they were taking up the bulk of this whole season, and it was definitely getting like, it felt like they were ignoring major plot points that they set up and then they just like did not address for, you know, 5-6 weeks in a row. Which was a little frustrating. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this part 1 of the finale. Let me know what you think about everything. What's happening with the clones? Where are the Kaminoans at? Are we gonna, you know, are they gonna deal with all that in season 2? Is Crosshair gonna live? You know, is the AZ droid or whatever his name is he gonna join the crew? I hope he does, because I really enjoy that droid. I think he's one of my more favorite droids in the show. There's a lot of droids I kind of find a little annoying, but like, I think I actually like that one. I hope he joins the crew. Yeah, just let me know your theories, let me know your thoughts, let me know your feelings. Were you sad? Were you excited about this whole Crosshair revelation? Yeah, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.